Well, looky here. You survived one class and now you think you're prepared for another. You must be a masochist. Welcome back to class, ladies and gentlemen. Today, if you have the stomach for it, today's lecture is on the shadow side of storytelling. Aaliyah Zealous. That's Professor Zealous to you. Today's lecture covers why dark, twisted, and taboo things draws us in. These elements pull readers in so strongly because we are fascinated with the forbidden. We are by nature very curious creatures. We want to explore. We want to dive deeper into ourselves, into the unknown. So reading work that taps on these elements calls to something innately within ourselves, that explorer, that shadow worker, that version of us that teeters on the edge of the dark side. And we're pulled in by these elements so strongly because we don't desire to stay the same. Deep down, human beings desire to be more than what they are. We desire to be transformed. We desire to be taking on an incredible, life-altering, soul-altering journey. And oftentimes, the dark, the taboo, the twisted are the catalyst for those transformations. It's also the thrill of danger. Danger makes us feel alive. Many of the emotions that light us up, that scare us, that make us uncomfortable, are often the signals that we are right on the edge of what needs to be transformed. And a big part of this is also because we have empathy for the villains. We have empathy for them because we know deep down that we can relate. We can relate wholeheartedly to being disliked, to being the villain in somebody else's story, to being the character that we feel like the whole world is against. Like I said, we've all been a villain at some point in our lives in somebody else's story. And if you haven't, you will be. And have fun with that. So being able to see ourselves in the villain makes us feel seen. It makes us feel whole. And it makes us feel human. It makes us feel like we are not alone in our dark, twisted, and taboo desires, thoughts, and ideologies. These themes reveal the hidden truths about ourselves that only dark stories can actually reveal. People secretly desire to know themselves fully, to experience themselves fully. And a part of knowing yourself fully is integrating your shadow unapologetically. We are curious creatures, but the shadow side of stories allows us to understand and accept ourselves much more authentically. It allows us to confront our fears and our desires safely in fiction without the fear of judgment or feeling like you will have to explain parts of yourself that you yourself don't fully understand. Yet, it can be very cathartic to see taboo emotions that we often feel externalized. A villain who makes a hard choice that you honestly believe was the correct choice. A character who has an outburst about a topic that you secretly feel the same way about. You no longer feel like you're alone in what you feel and who you are. And the dark side of stories bring complexity. As much as we try to lie to ourselves about us wanting simplicity and being simple creatures, complexity is much more alluring when it comes to exploring a story than simplicity. When something makes us look closer and give more brain energy into understanding, we become invested for the transformation that we know is about to take place. The thing about storytelling is often finding that balance between compelling rather than repulsive and senseless. The thing about dark fantasy in particular is that it's meant to be written in a way where it's meant to be dark and compelling rather than gory and repulsive. And when I say repulsive, I just mean senseless and heedless and I just mean senseless. The scary part about it is the emotional truth. People's ability to see something so dark, so sinister, so contradicting to how they're used to living and what they're used to believing, and knowing that there is an ounce of truth in it. Having to face a different reality. It's about tension that inspires an internal transformation rather than senseless violence. Unless you know that's what your story is about. It's about senseless violence. Then by all means, go for it. But at its core, it's about moral complexity. Darkness becomes fascinating when it's humanized because darkness is human. In my last class, we talked about how to stop being polite in your writing. But we also need to talk about the danger of being polite in your writing. Sanitized writing that tries to lean too heavily into this, there's only a certain way to be good, and always remember to stay pure is not only boring as fuck, but can be extremely shallow in a way that we don't realize is detrimental to the reader. Those types of ideologies don't allow a reader to grow. It doesn't allow a reader to actually think through situations and problems. Strong opinions and messy truths oftentimes gives a story life and its meaning. When you're just trying to be polite and you're just trying to affirm the reality that everyone else is already living, and you encourage your readers to stay stuck in the reality that they're in. You'll encourage your reader to stay where they are. Embracing shadowy dark writing is so powerful because it gives both the reader and the writer permission to feel more deeply, communicate more deeply, explore deeply, and understand deeply. And essentially, that's what reading and writing is all about. Understanding the human race and all of its quirks and complexities more deeply. And you can't do that if the writer isn't being honest and authentic in their work and is trying so hard to maintain the mask that everyone else is already walking around wearing. Don't be afraid to let yourself write unacceptable things and emotions without judgment. Don't be afraid to shift your perspective. And if you have a character that draws you deeper into those uncomfortable and unexpected emotions and thoughts, don't try to pull yourself out of that headspace so quickly, especially because you think your story is supposed to end in love and light and peace and happiness. Let yourself sit in it. Let yourself mellow in those emotions and those thoughts. Explore it. Sit in it. Dive into the villain's perspective and truly try to get an understanding of the villain and follow their thought process. We often talk about the type of writers that we want to be, but one of the biggest kind of writers that we should be is a fair writer. Fair to all of the characters, all of the themes, and all of the perspectives that we're trying to present in our books and our pieces, and fair in a way where each idea, each character, each emotion has its space to be, has its space to be what it is without interruption, has its moment to plead its case, if you will, without automatically being deemed or smited by the hero as unacceptable. Embrace plot twists and the heroes not always getting their way. Things like this will help you to explore shadow in your own storytelling and help you build more complex and intricate worlds and characters that are impactful and meaningful to the reader. Dark stories don't make us bad, they make us whole. Now get out of my classroom.